everybody's gotten a hang of at least the concept of state and the fact that how you're going to look for whether a body is state or not, right? Excellent. Okay, so the first substantive fundamental right that we are going to look at is going to be right to equality. And right to equality, of course, is covered from Article 14 to Article 18. Now, we'll, of course, come back to 14, 15, 16, but 17 and 18 are sort of very specific issues on right to equality. 17 is abolition of untouchability, and 18 is abolition of titles. So let me just take you through 17 because it's unique in small ways. We just had an entire discussion on the importance of state and why the definition of state is important and so on. But that's why my next slide, I really wanted to have Article 17 right there, because there are some exceptions. There are some exceptions where even if a body is not state, fundamental rights are actionable. Fundamental right cases can be filed. Abolition of untouchability is one such example, because obviously the practice of untouchability will be done by private individuals. It will obviously not be done by the government or governmental agency or a governmental corporation. It will be individuals who are ultimately practicing untouchability. So Article 17 is one major real exception where even if a person is obviously individual is not state, in harmony with other laws, by reading other laws along with Article 17, but you can also use Article 17 when you finally file the case. So we have a 1989 legislation also, prevention of atrocities against scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and so on and so forth. There are again additional legislation. The most important one is the 1989 one. So you use that law, but along with that law, one can also use Article 17, and you can file cases against individuals. Abolition of titles is pretty straightforward. Raja, Maharaja, etc., are not, well, they've been completely and constitutionally banned. So Raja Bhaiya is, everybody must have heard of, or I don't know. So Raja Bhaiya, pyar se, you can call him Raja Bhaiya. It's out of love, affection, or whatever, respect or fear for that factor. But Raja Bhaiya cannot be the official name because there's no title of Raja, Maharaja, etc. that's acceptable. So the name is obviously Mr. Raghuraj Pratap Singh. There are some exceptions to the idea of abolition of titles. The exceptions, couple of exceptions would be, for example, academic titles. Like if somebody has done a PhD, some of you might go ahead and decide to do a PhD. If you do decide to do a PhD, then you can be referred to as doctor, or medicine, an MBBS course, and you can be referred to as doctor. And then there are military titles as well, which are permitted and not permitted. So again, one can continue to hold the military titles that have been conferred by the state itself, and so on. That's right. Let me just take these couple of questions. In Rajasthan, there are still some titles that exist. That's true. Maharaja of Jodhpur and the Maharaja of Gaj Singh and Maharaja of Jaipur, Man Singh, and that. So we do have some titles. So some kings have been granted exemption from the abolition of titles. Similarly, for example, the Nizam of Hyderabad was also granted an exception. The Raja of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Raja Hari Singh, was also granted. So there are exceptions, but sort of generally speaking, there has been a blanket abolition of titles that has happened. Aman is asking, if someone is awarded a title by a foreign state, then will that be valid? So an Indian citizen cannot be conferred a title by a foreign state except with prior consent and from the central government. So there are certain exceptions under which that is possible, but usually you should assume that that's not possible. Second is, if a foreign citizen is holding a public office in India. So say somebody is a foreigner but is working for the government of India in whatever capacity. That person also cannot be conferred a title even by their own home country, except with the prior consent of the President of India. So let's say somebody is working as the, I don't know, whatever, press secretary of the Prime Minister of India, and that person is a foreign citizen. So let's say British citizen or let's say, Australian citizen. Now, England or Australia also cannot confer a title on that person until Ramnath Kovind approves that this person can be granted the title. Right. I hope that clarifies both the questions about Rajasthan and Maharaja